Hey, Vintage Car Chronicles fans. Welcome to this deep dive that we've curated specifically for you. You asked for it,
Okay.
and we're delivering a closer look at the Morgan Motor Company.
That's right.
And let me tell you, their story is a fascinating one.
Yeah, fascinating.
So get ready to explore a century of craftsmanship and innovation and some really interesting quirks,
A century.
all from a stack of articles and historical overviews.
Right.
We're talking three-wheelers
Okay.
and wooden frames that somehow made it into the 21st century, and a company that politely declined to modernize, even when a famous business expert suggested it.
It's truly fascinating how Morgan has carved out such a unique niche in the automotive world. I mean, they've managed to thrive in an industry that is obsessed with mass production
Right.
by sticking to their guns and staying true to their founding principles.
Yeah. Okay, let's unpack this journey, starting right at the beginning.
Okay.
It all started in 1909 with a young engineer named H.F.S. Morgan.
H.F.S. Morgan.
So picture this. He builds his first car, a single-seater, three-wheeled contraption that basically resembled a motorized tricycle.
Wow.
It was called the runabout.
You know that single-seater?
Yeah.
That wasn't just a quirky design choice.
Right.
It actually embodies a lot of what Morgan would become known for. Lightweight construction, a focus on performance, and a knack for innovation.
But here's where it gets really interesting.
Hmm.
HFS initially built that first car just for his personal use,
Oh, wow.
but it caused quite a stir at the 1910 Motor Show.
Really?
Yeah, it seems like people just couldn't resist the charm of a three-wheeled car.
Exactly. And just a year later, he introduced a two-seater version of the Runabout, which was a much bigger hit with the public.
Wow,
It was so popular that it became the only car ever displayed in a Harrods shop window.
that's crazy.
Can you imagine that on a Morgan and Harrods? Talk about a marketing coup.
Yeah, so we've got these three-wheelers turning heads, but were they actually any good?
Oh, they were far more than just a novelty. Morgan's three-wheelers were renowned for their performance and their affordability, and particularly their prowess on the racetrack.
Really?
They were lightweight, agile machines, often fitted with motorcycle engines that racked up wins and broke records in the early days of motorsport.
It's kind of mind-blowing when you think about it, these little three-wheeled cars going head-to-head with more conventional four-wheeled vehicles and winning.
Absolutely.
Wow.
And there were some incredible drivers pushing these cars to their limits. Drivers like Mrs. Gwenda Stewart, a pioneer in women's motorsport,
Uh-huh.
and Captain Albert Ball,
Right.
a renowned aviator who actually compared the feeling of driving a Morgan three-wheeler to flying.
Wow, so they must have been exhilarating to drive.
Must have been an exhilarating experience.
But the automotive landscape was evolving, and tax changes in 1936 made four-wheeled vehicles more financially appealing.
Yeah.
This prompted Morgan to, well, get in line with the times, right?
Yes, but they didn't abandon their core principles.
Yeah.
Instead, they debuted the Morgan 44 in 1936, their very first four-wheeled car. And get this, it remained in production until 2018.
Wow.
That's over 80 years.
That's incredible. To stay relevant for that long is a testament to its design, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely.
What was it about the 44 that made it so enduring?
It was a masterclass in blending innovation with tradition.
Okay.
The 44 featured a steel chassis for added strength,
Uh-huh.
but they retained their trademark ash-framed body.
Interesting.
This meant they could keep the weight down and maintain that signature Morgan agility. They were essentially nodding to their heritage
Right.
while embracing new possibilities in car design.
So it's like they were saying, we're moving to four wheels, but we're not sacrificing what makes us unique.
Yeah.
And that leads us perfectly into talking about two of their most iconic models, the Plus 4 and the Plus 8.
Yes.
These really seem to embody that spirit of balancing tradition with performance.
You're absolutely right. The Plus 4 and Plus 8 showcase Morgan's ability to take their classic craftsmanship and pair it with increasingly powerful engines.
Yeah.
They were a beautiful blend of vintage charm and raw power, capable of both turning heads and turning in impressive lap times.
I can just picture those cars roaring down the track, a mix of vintage charm and raw power. Didn't one of these models achieve a major victory at a prestigious racing event?
Indeed, the Plus 4 actually scored a class victory at the legendary 1962 24 Hours of Le Mans race.
Wow.
That's no small feat. Imagine this small, relatively unassuming car holding its own against giants in the world of motorsport.
Yeah.
It really put Morgan on the map in terms of performance.
That must have been quite a sight. But let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Yeah.
Morgan's story wasn't all about clinging to the past.
Yeah.
They did make a bold leap into the 21st century, didn't they?
They did, and it might seem like a departure at first glance.
Okay.
I'm talking about the Aero 8, a car that on the surface appears very sleek and modern. a far cry from their traditional aesthetic. It was even featured on Top Gear, driven by Richard Hammond, a self-proclaimed Morgan enthusiast.
Yeah, the Aero 8 definitely had a more modern look. It was powered by a BMW V8 engine. I
It
mean,
was.
it's a pretty significant departure from what we've been discussing so far.
It was, but if you look closely, the Aero 8 was still very much a Morgan at its core.
Oh,
They retained that focus on lightweight construction and driver engagement that had always defined their cars.
right.
They utilized an aluminum chassis and frame,
Okay.
a major change from the traditional wooden body tub, but the philosophy remained the same.
So you're saying they embraced modern technology without compromising their core principles.
Precisely.
It's like they found a way to create a car that could turn heads on a modern racetrack while still carrying that distinct Morgan spirit.
Precisely. And that's what makes their story so compelling.
Yeah.
They've always been willing to evolve, but never at the expense of their identity.
Right.
They knew what made them special, and they stuck to it.
Speaking of what makes them special, we can't talk about Morgan without addressing some of their quirks, especially their continued use of wood in their car construction. It's almost like they're saying, hey, mass production, we're doing things our way, and
Yeah.
somehow it works.
Absolutely. Even in the 21st century, they were still incorporating ash frames into some of their models.
Wow.
It wasn't just about nostalgia.
Okay.
That wood frame actually contributed to the car's strength-to-weight ratio.
That's incredible. And then there's the sliding pillar suspension system, a design that has been around since the very beginning.
It's a testament to the longevity and effectiveness of their engineering.
Wow.
In essence, it uses a solid pillar that slides vertically within a housing to control the wheel movement.
Okay.
It's incredibly durable and has been a hallmark of Morgan's classic line for decades.
It's a little nod to their history and reminder that some things are worth holding on to.
Exactly. And speaking of things worth holding on to, let's not forget the heart of this company, the Morgan family. They've been at the helm of this company for over a century, and their passion for the brand is palpable.
You could really sense their dedication to craftsmanship and doing things their way.
Mm-hmm.
And every car that rolls out of their factory. It's not just a car, it's a piece of their family's history and a legacy brought to life.
And that brings us to Morgan today.
Okay.
They're still all about bespoke craftsmanship and limited production volume, crafting roughly 800 cars per year,
Wow.
each one meticulously hand-built.
So they're really still holding on to that artisanal approach to car manufacturing.
Absolutely.
What does their current lineup look like? Have they completely abandoned their three-wheeled heritage?
Not at all. They've actually brought back the three-wheeler
Okay.
alongside the +4 and +6. They're keeping their heritage alive while continuing to evolve.
And to think, in 1990, a famous business expert, Sir John Harvey Jones, criticized Morgan for their traditional approach. He urged them to modernize and clear their order backlog.
Right.
But Morgan, in their polite and understated way, declined. They understood that their traditional techniques, their waiting list, it was all part of what made them special.
I think so.
And, you know, what sales actually increased after that program aired and Morgan continued to thrive. It's a fantastic reminder that sticking to your guns and what you believe in can lead to success.
Absolutely, especially when what you believe in is creating hand-built cars with a soul. It seems like their resistance to change was actually a testament to their understanding of their own brand
Right.
and their loyal customer base.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here, from those quirky beginnings with three-wheelers to their enduring commitment to hand-built craftsmanship.
We have.
We've even touched on their foray into more modern designs while still retaining their core values.
We have.
But there's so much more to explore, right?
Oh, absolutely. We've only just scratched the surface of Morgan's rich history and the fascinating details behind their iconic models.
Okay, well, let's dive in.
Let's delve deeper into some of the models that have shaped Morgan's journey, shall we?
Let's do it. There's one that piques my curiosity.
Sure.
The +4 Plus, it debuted in 1963 and seems like a bit of an oddball in their lineup.
It was indeed a bit of an anomaly. The +4 Plus had this sleek, closed fiberglass body.
Oh, okay.
A pretty radical departure from their traditional open-top designs. You could say it looked almost futuristic compared to their other cars at the time.
Almost like a spaceship compared to their usual fare. But was it all show, or did it still have that Morgan DNA under the hood?
Oh, it was Morgan through and through.
Okay.
It had the same sliding pillar suspension system we talked about earlier,
Right.
the same focus on lightweight construction, and that same commitment to driver engagement.
So it's like they were experimenting with their design language while staying true to their core principles.
Exactly. But despite its performance capabilities and innovative design, the Plus 4 Plus didn't quite take off with the public.
Oh, really?
Only 26 were ever built,
Wow.
which makes it an incredibly rare and highly sought-after collector's item today.
It's fascinating how even iconic brands like Morgan have their share of experiments, and not every innovation is an immediate hit. It
Yeah.
makes you wonder what factors contributed to its limited appeal back then.
You know, it's hard to say for sure, but perhaps it was simply ahead of its time, or maybe it was just too much of a departure from what people expected from a Morgan. Whatever the reason, it remains a unique chapter in their history.
Let's shift gears now and talk about a model that's synonymous with Morgan's V8 legacy, the Plus 8.
Yes.
This one really seems to capture that essence of power and performance that Morgan is known for.
Absolutely. Introduced in 1968, the Plus 8 quickly gained a reputation for being one of the fastest accelerating cars of its era, and it wasn't just brute force.
Okay.
The Plus 8 handled beautifully thanks in part to its lightweight construction and balanced weight distribution.
So it wasn't just about going fast in a straight line. It was a true driver's car.
Yes.
One that could tackle corners with grace and precision.
Precisely, it truly cemented Morgan's place in the realm of high-performance sports cars. And let's not forget that distinctive rumble of the Rover V8 engine,
Yeah.
which was music to the ears of any car enthusiast.
It's funny how certain engine sounds become so iconic you hear it and you instantly know what kind of car it is. Did the Plus 8 undergo many changes over the years?
It did go through several iterations, with each one refining and improving upon the original design.
Okay.
But one thing remained constant: its raw, visceral appeal. It was a car that made a statement, a car that turned heads wherever it went, and it continued to be a popular choice for driving enthusiasts right up until its final production run in 2019.
It sounds like a true classic. Speaking of popular choices, we can't forget about the Morgan Roadster. It seems to carry on that legacy of open-top driving excitement that Morgan does so well.
The Roadster debuted in 2004 as the successor to the Plus 8, and it certainly embraced that spirit of open-air driving instead of the Rover V8. However, the Roadster was equipped with a modern Ford V6 engine. So they were looking for a bit more refinement and fuel efficiency without sacrificing performance.
Exactly. It was a car that could be enjoyed on a daily basis while still delivering that signature Morgan thrill.
I like that the idea that you could have a car that's both exciting and practical.
Yeah.
Did they offer different configurations for the Roadster?
They did, like many Morgan models. The Roadster was available in both two-seater and four-seater versions,
Oh, okay.
providing buyers with more practicality without compromising its stylish design.
Yeah.
It was a great example of how Morgan could evolve and adapt to the needs of modern drivers while holding on to their core values.
Speaking of adapting to modern needs, wasn't there a model that really showcased Morgan's adventurous spirit and focus on sustainability?
You're thinking of the Life car.
Yes.
It was a concept car that Morgan developed in the mid-2000s,
Okay.
and it was unlike anything they had attempted before.
Really?
It was designed to be both environmentally responsible and deliver exhilarating performance. It's interesting how they were already thinking about sustainability back then. What was their approach? Did they go fully electric?
Initially, they considered using a fuel cell powertrain,
Wow.
which was pretty cutting-edge technology at the time.
That was a bold vision for the future of sustainable sports cars.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder what a Morgan fuel cell car would have been like.
I know, but as development progressed, they shifted to a hybrid approach,
Okay.
combining a small gasoline engine with an electric motor. This gave the Life car a limited all-electric range ideal for city driving, while still providing the power and range needed for longer journeys.
So they were aiming for a best of both worlds solution. And what about the design? Did it still look like a Morgan?
Oh, absolutely. The Life car had this incredibly sleek aerodynamic design that looked like it was sculpted by the wind. It was a true concept car, a testament to Morgan's commitment to both innovation and environmental responsibility.
It's too bad it never went into full production. It
Yeah.
sounds like it would have been a real game changer.
It is a shame, but you have to admire their willingness to push boundaries and explore new possibilities. The Life car, even though it remained a concept, paved the way for Morgan to integrate new technologies and sustainable practices into their future endeavors.
Speaking of exploring new possibilities, didn't they also dabble in the world of grand tourers with the EVA GT?
Yes!
That seems like a pretty significant departure from their usual sporty offerings.
The EVA GT was indeed a departure. A proposed grand tourer unveiled in 2010.
Right?
It was designed to be more spacious and luxurious, with seating for four and a focus on long-distance comfort.
It's almost like imagining a Morgan limousine.
Well, maybe not a limousine, but it definitely had a more refined and sophisticated presence
Right.
compared to their traditional sports cars. Under the hood, it was planned to house a BMW-sourced twin-turbocharged straight-six engine,
Okay.
which would have provided ample power and torque for those grand touring adventures.
It sounds like it would have been quite a capable and stylish Grand Tour, but I'm guessing it never made it into production.
Unfortunately, no, several factors, including financial challenges and shifting market demands, led to the project being shelved.
It's always a bit disappointing when a promising concept car doesn't make it to the production line.
I agree. It had the potential to be a truly remarkable car, a Morgan that could have broadened their appeal without losing that essential Morgan identity.
But even though it never materialized, the EVA GT shows that Morgan isn't afraid to experiment and push the boundaries of their design language. Maybe someday we'll see a spiritual successor that captures that grand touring essence.
I hope so. Now let's circle back to Morgan's roots for a moment and discuss the revival of one of their most iconic and, let's face it, coolest models, the three-wheeler.
Oh yes, the three-wheeler. It's such a unique and charming vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
It's as much a motorcycle as it is a car, a true throwback to Morgan's early days, but with a modern twist.
Exactly. Unveiled in 2011, it instantly captured the hearts of driving enthusiasts worldwide.
Yeah,
There's just something undeniably cool and fun about a three-wheeled roadster,
I know.
especially one with such a distinctive design.
It's like a modern interpretation of those vintage three-wheelers we talked about earlier, except this time it's not just about practicality or affordability, it's about the pure joy of driving something different.
You nailed it, and they didn't skimp on the engine either.
Okay.
It was powered by an S&S V-twin motorcycle engine mounted right up front, giving it a raw and visceral sound that was impossible to ignore with its lightweight construction and open cockpit. The three-wheeler delivered a driving experience unlike anything else on the road.
It sounds like pure, unadulterated fun. Did they keep the design consistent throughout its production run?
They did introduce a few updates and special editions, but they always stayed true to its core concept. Open air driving, a powerful engine, and that unmistakable three-wheel design. Sadly, production of the three-wheeler ceased in 2021.
That's a shame. It seems like a car that would always have a dedicated following.
It does, and its legacy certainly lives on. It's a fantastic example of Morgan's ability to revitalize and reimagine their most iconic models for a modern audience.
And speaking of reimagining iconic models, we can't overlook the Morgan SP1. This one was a real head-turner, wasn't it?
The SP1 was a one-off special project unveiled in 2014.
Okay.
It was a stunning coupe that showcased the company's bespoke craftsmanship and their ability to create truly unique and personalized vehicles.
It was like a work of art on wheels.
Yeah.
What were some of its standout features?
Its exterior design drew inspiration from Morgan's life car concept,
Okay.
with those sleek, flowing lines and a futuristic aesthetic. The interior was equally impressive with handcrafted details and premium materials throughout. But the real showstopper was its unique wooden frame crafted from a combination of ash and African bubinga red hardwood.
Wow, that's incredible.
Uh,
Talk about a blend of traditional materials and modern design sensibilities. It must have been a real testament to Morgan's commitment to craftsmanship and attention to detail.
Absolutely, and under the hood they didn't disappoint either.
Okay.
The SP1 was powered by the same Ford 3.7-liter V6 engine found in the Morgan Roadster, which meant it had plenty of power and performance to match its striking looks.
It sounds like the SP1 was a real masterpiece, a true one-of-a-kind creation that embodied everything that makes Morgan special. But let's move on to a car that represented a significant leap forward for Morgan in terms of technology, the Plus 6.
The Plus 6 unveiled in 2019. It was the first car built on Morgan's new CX generation platform, which was a significant departure from their traditional ladder frame chassis.
Okay.
This new platform was constructed entirely of bonded aluminum, giving it exceptional strength and rigidity while still keeping the weight down. It was a bold move, signifying their commitment to innovation while retaining their core values.
Bonded aluminum, that sounds pretty high-tech. What are the advantages of this type of construction?
Well, bonding the aluminum rather than welding it allows for a more streamlined and efficient manufacturing process. Plus, it creates a stronger and lighter overall structure,
Right.
which translates into improved performance and handling.
So it's a win-win situation. Did they
Oh.
make any other significant changes along with this new platform?
They did. Alongside the CX generation platform came a completely redesigned suspension system, featuring double wishbones at the front, and a multi-link setup at the rear.
You're going to have to explain that one to me. What exactly does that mean? How does it impact the driving experience?
Well, in simple terms, these are different ways to connect the wheels to the car's frame.
Okay.
The double wishbone and multi-link setups are known for providing more precise wheel control and a smoother ride, especially when you're pushing the car hard through corners.
So essentially, it made the Plus 6 handle even better than previous Morgan models.
Exactly. And to complement this new platform and suspension, Morgan turned to BMW for their potent B58 turbocharged inline-six engine.
I'm starting to sense a pattern here. It seems like Morgan has a knack for partnering with other manufacturers to source top-of-the-line engines. What was special about this particular engine?
The B58 is known for its smooth power delivery responsiveness and efficiency.
Right.
It delivered a whopping 335 horsepower, making the Plus 6 the most powerful production Morgan ever built at that time.
Wow, that's a lot of power. So you had this lightweight, agile car with a cutting-edge platform and a powerful BMW engine. It sounds like a recipe for a thrilling driving experience.
It absolutely was. The Plus 6 could hold its own on a modern racetrack while still offering that classic Morgan charm. It was a true evolution of the brand, a car that embraced modern technology and performance without sacrificing its heritage or character.
It sounds like the Plus 6 was a real statement piece for Morgan, a sign that they were ready to embrace the future of sports car manufacturing while staying true to their roots.
You could say that it was a sign that they were not content to rest on their laurels and were willing to innovate to stay relevant in a changing automotive landscape.
But they didn't forget about their history either, did they?
No.
I'm thinking specifically about the Morgan Plus 4, which was also introduced in 2019. It seemed like a more traditional offering, a nod to their classic models.
You're right, the Plus 4 was in many ways a spiritual successor to the classic Plus 4 models of the past. It had that same timeless styling, the same focus on lightweight construction, and the same emphasis on driver engagement.
It sounds like they were aiming for a more purist driving experience with the Plus 4.
Yeah.
Something that would appeal to fans of their traditional models.
Precisely, but they didn't completely shy away from incorporating modern technology underneath that familiar exterior. The Plus 4 was also built on Morgan's new CX generation platform,
Right.
giving it the same benefits of strength rigidity and handling precision as the Plus 6.
So they were finding ways to subtly enhance the classic Morgan experience without compromising its essential character.
Exactly, but instead of the potent BMW inline-six found in the Plus 6, the Plus 4 was powered by a more modest BMW twin-power turbocharged four-cylinder engine.
Ah, so it was a slightly more restrained approach to power. Was it still a fun car to drive?
Oh, absolutely. It delivered a still impressive 255 horsepower, making the Plus 4 a nimble and engaging sports car that was perfect for both spirited driving and leisurely cruising. It was a car that perfectly balanced heritage and innovation, offering a classic Morgan experience with a modern twist.
It seems like Morgan was really hitting its stride in 2019 with the introduction of these two models, the Plus 6 and the Plus 4. They were showcasing their ability to evolve and innovate while still retaining that unique Morgan magic.
I agree. They were demonstrating that they understood the changing needs of the market while remaining true to their core values.
But let's not forget about their three-wheeled heritage. Didn't they introduce a successor to the three-wheeler around this time?
They did. In 2022, they unveiled the Morgan Super 3, and it was a radical departure from its predecessor in terms of design.
Oh, I remember seeing pictures of the Super 3. It looked like something straight out of a science fiction movie.
Yes.
It had those sleek lines, exposed mechanical components, and a very futuristic vibe. It definitely didn't look like anything else on the road.
You're describing it perfectly, and while it retained the same basic three-wheeled layout and open cockpit design as the three-wheeler,
Right.
the Super 3 was a completely new car from the ground up.
I'm guessing they didn't just give it a cosmetic makeover. What were some of the key changes under the hood?
You're right, they didn't just change its looks. The Super 3 was built on Morgan's versatile CX generation platform,
Okay.
which meant it shared its underpinnings with the Plus 4 and Plus 6.
Wow. So they were really committing to this new platform across their entire model range.
Yeah.
What about the engine? Did they stick with the motorcycle-inspired approach of the three-wheeler?
This is where things get interesting. Instead of the V-twin motorcycle engine found in the three-wheeler, the Super 3 was powered by a naturally aspirated Ford three-cylinder engine.
A Ford engine. That's a change. What was the reasoning behind that decision?
Well, Ford has a long history of producing reliable and efficient engines. And this particular three-cylinder engine was well suited to the Super 3's lightweight design and sporty character. It was mounted longitudinally in the front and delivered a spirited 118 horsepower to the single rear wheel.
It sounds like they're aiming for a more modern and refined driving experience with the Super 3 while still retaining that essential three-wheeled thrill.
Exactly. The Super 3 was a true showcase of Morgan's ability to blend heritage innovation and cutting-edge design into a truly unique and exhilarating driving experience. It captured the spirit of those early Morgan three-wheelers while pushing the boundaries of what a modern sports car could be.
So we've covered a lot of ground here with Morgan's production models, from their iconic Plus 8 to the futuristic Super 3. But didn't they also have a reputation for creating special one-off projects and limited edition models?
You're right, these projects allowed them to push the boundaries of design and engineering even further and showcase their bespoke craftsmanship. They were creating truly unique and collectible vehicles that embodied the spirit of Morgan in a way that their regular production models couldn't quite capture.
I'm intrigued. Tell me more about these special projects. What were some of the standout examples?
One that comes to mind is the Morgan Plus 8 GTR, which was unveiled in 2021.
Okay.
It was a limited run of just 9 cars,
Wow.
each based on a re-engineered and reimagined Plus 8 chassis.
Wow, only 9 cars. That's incredibly exclusive. What was the story behind these chassis?
They were actually sourced from the remnants of Bristol Cars,
No.
another iconic British car maker that unfortunately went into administration.
It's always sad to see a historic car maker cease operations, but it's great that Morgan saw an opportunity to give these chassis a new lease on life, to transform them into something truly special.
Exactly. They saw the potential in these classic chassis and decided to honor both Morgan's and Bristol's heritage by creating something truly unique.
What were some of the design features that set the Plus 8 GTR apart from the standard Plus 8?
They gave it a more aggressive and muscular design with wider fenders, a revised front end, and a distinctive rear wing. It really stood out from the more traditional Plus 8 models.
It sounds like they weren't afraid to give it a more modern and sporty look. What about the engine? Did they stick with the Rover V8 from the original Plus 8?
They decided to go with a tuned version of the BMW 4.8-liter V8 engine,
Oh,
which delivered an estimated 375 horsepower.
wow. That's a significant power increase. It sounds like the Plus 8 GTR was a real beast of a car, a perfect blend of classic styling and modern performance.
It was a fitting tribute to both Morgan's and Bristol's legacy. It embodied the spirit of both brands, the craftsmanship, the attention to detail, and the passion for performance.
It's amazing to see how Morgan has managed to maintain that connection to their past while constantly looking for ways to evolve and innovate.
They haven't just been content with creating beautiful road cars either. They've also had a long and successful history in motorsport.
Oh, that's right. I'd forgotten about their racing pedigree. Didn't they have a particularly notable win at a prestigious endurance race?
They did. One of their most notable motorsport achievements was the class victory of a Morgan Plus 4 Supersports at the 1962 24 Hours of Le Mans.
Wow, Le Mans. That's one of the most demanding and iconic races in the world. It's incredible to think that a small, lightweight British sports car could hold its own against some of the biggest names in motorsport on such a challenging track.
It was a testament to Morgan's engineering prowess, their attention to detail, and their unwavering commitment to performance. That victory helped to solidify Morgan's reputation as a builder of truly capable and competitive sports cars.
It's inspiring to see a small independent manufacturer like Morgan achieving such success on the world stage. It really shows that passion and dedication can go a long way.
Absolutely, and their involvement in motorsport hasn't been limited to just the past.
Okay.
In more recent years, they've campaigned the Aero 8 in various GT racing series, proving that their modern cars are just as capable as their classic models.
So they're not just relying on their past glories, they're actively proving that they can still compete at a high level.
Exactly, and in 2012, they even partnered with Pescarolo Sport to rebrand their Le Mans prototype as a Morgan, partly to commemorate the 50th anniversary of that historic Plus 4 Supersports victory.
It sounds like motorsport is deeply ingrained in Morgan's DNA. It's not just about winning. It's about pushing their cars to the limit, testing new technologies, and showcasing their capabilities to the world.
You've got it. And all of this ties back to one of the things that makes Morgan truly special, their unwavering commitment to hand-built craftsmanship.
You're right. We can't talk about Morgan without talking about their dedication to building cars the old-fashioned way, with skilled craftsmen and traditional techniques.
They're one of the few remaining car manufacturers that still build their cars largely by hand, using techniques and skills that have been passed down through generations.
Yeah.
This dedication to hand-built quality is evident in every aspect of a Morgan car, from the meticulously crafted wooden frames to the hand-stitched leather interiors.
It's that human touch, that attention to detail that gives Morgan cars their soul, their character, and their undeniable charm.
Precisely. And it's also what makes them so desirable to collectors and enthusiasts around the world. They're not just buying a car, they're buying a piece of automotive art.
It's almost like stepping back in time when you walk into a Morgan factory. You're surrounded by the sights and sounds of traditional craftsmanship, something that's becoming increasingly rare in our modern world.
You're right, their factory, located in Malvern Link, Worcestershire, has been their home since 1914. It's a picturesque town nestled in the heart of the English countryside, a fitting setting for a company that embodies the spirit of British craftsmanship.
It sounds idyllic. I can imagine that the factory itself must be a fascinating place to visit.
It is. It's a blend of old and new, where skilled craftsmen work alongside modern machinery, seamlessly blending traditional techniques with cutting-edge technology.
It sounds like a place where tradition and innovation coexist harmoniously, a testament to Morgan's enduring legacy.
You're right, and for those who want to experience it firsthand, they offer guided tours that provide a behind-the-scenes look at how these incredible cars are brought to life, from the initial design stages to the final assembly. It's a fascinating glimpse into a world of craftsmanship and passion, a world where cars are still built with heart and soul.
It sounds like a must-visit for any car enthusiast. But let's be realistic. Owning a Morgan is a dream for many, but it's a significant investment.
Mm.
Can you give us a sense of the cost and the process involved in acquiring one of these beauties?
Of course, the first step is to contact an authorized Morgan dealership or to deal directly with the Morgan Motor Company.
Okay.
They can guide you through the process of selecting your desired model, configuring it to your preferences, and providing you with detailed pricing information.
So it's a very personalized experience from start to finish. You're not just walking into a dealership and picking a car off the lot.
Exactly. It's about creating a car that reflects your individual style and preferences, and as you might expect, Morgan cars don't come cheap.
Right.
They're bespoke, hand-built vehicles, and that exclusivity is reflected in their price tag.
I understand you're paying for the craftsmanship, the heritage, and the exclusivity that comes with owning a Morgan. Can you give us a ballpark figure?
The exact cost will depend on the model, the specifications, and the optional features you choose.
Right.
But generally speaking, you can expect to pay somewhere in the region of £70,000 to £90,000 for a new Morgan.
That's significant investment, but it's understandable considering the level of craftsmanship and personalization that goes into each car.
And it's important to note that there's often a waiting list for Morgan cars due to their limited production volume and high demand.
I can imagine that the waiting list is quite long.
It can be. The waiting time can vary depending on the model and the current order backlog.
Okay.
But it's not uncommon to wait anywhere from 6 months to a year or even longer for your new Morgan to be built.
Seems like patience is a virtue when it comes to owning a Morgan.
You could say that, but for those who are patient and who truly appreciate hand-built craftsmanship and driving excellence, owning a Morgan is an experience that's worth the wait.
It's a chance to own a piece of automotive history, a car that's built with passion, and that's guaranteed to turn heads wherever you go. It's a reminder that in a world of mass production, there are still companies committed to building cars the old-fashioned way with heart and soul.
Well said. Now let's delve into some of the more nuanced aspects of Morgan's philosophy and approach to car manufacturing. One of the things that often sparks debate is their unwavering commitment to tradition.
You're right, some people see it as stubbornness and unwillingness to change with the times, but I think it's more than that. It's a deep respect for their heritage, for the craftsmanship and engineering that have defined Morgan for over a century. It's like they're saying, we know who we are and we know what we do well, and we're not going to compromise that just to chase trends.
That's a great way to put it. They're not trying to be everything to everyone.
Right.
They're laser focused on creating cars that offer a unique and authentic driving experience, cars that are built to last and will be cherished for generations.
In a world that's obsessed with technology and automation, it's refreshing to see a company that's still dedicated to the art of hand-built automobiles.
Absolutely. It's a reminder that cars can be more than just appliances.
Right.
They can be works of art, expressions of passion, and connections to a rich history.
Speaking of history, Morgan's past is full of fascinating stories and anecdotes that really capture the spirit of the brand. Did you hear about the time a Morgan three-wheeler was used to smuggle diamonds out of Russia during the Revolution?
I did. And then there's the story of the Morgan owner who drove their car across the Sahara Desert in the 1930s. These stories aren't just about cars. They're about adventure, about pushing boundaries, and about the enduring human spirit.
It's like these cars were made for those kinds of adventures. They weren't just meant to be driven to the grocery store. They were meant to experience the world to create lasting memories. It makes you wonder what adventures those cars have been on and the stories they could tell.
You're right, they embody a sense of freedom and a connection to the open road that's hard to find in modern cars. But that brings up an interesting question. Is their approach to car manufacturing sustainable in the long term?
That's a great question. It's a valid concern in an industry that's rapidly evolving and facing increasing pressure to embrace electrification and automation.
I think Morgan has shown that there's still a place for traditional craftsmanship,
Yeah.
for hand-built cars that are made with care and attention to detail.
They've proven that there's a market for cars that offer a unique and authentic driving experience, cars that are built to last, and that will be treasured by their owners.
As long as there are people who value those qualities, I believe Morgan will continue to thrive. There's a certain magic to a Morgan car that's hard to define. You feel it when you see one, when you sit in one, when you drive one.
It's a combination of the classic design, the hand-built craftsmanship, the open cockpit, the roar of the engine, and that feeling of connection to the road and to the history of the brand. It's something that's becoming increasingly rare in the modern automotive world.
Well said. It's like they've bottled a bit of that old world charm and injected it into every car they build.
So, Vintage Car Chronicles fans, we've taken you on quite a journey through the world of Morgan Motor Company. We've explored their history, their evolution, their most iconic models, and the unique qualities that make them so special. We've seen how Morgan has managed to stay true to their roots while adapting to a changing world.
They've proven that tradition and innovation can coexist, that hand-built craftsmanship and modern technology can complement each other. They've shown that there's still a place for cars that are built with soul, cars that are more than just transportation. They're expressions of passion and artistry.
We encourage you to delve deeper into this fascinating brand, to learn more about their story, and maybe even experience the magic of driving a Morgan firsthand.
It's an experience you won't soon forget.
And remember, a new episode of Vintage Car Chronicles is released daily on Spotify, so be sure to subscribe and tune in for more automotive adventures. Thanks for listening.